Good evening, everyone. We're going to open the zoning board of appeals meeting. My name is Howard Trasker. This is Elaine Baker and Eric Svein, members. George Morris from the planning board, and Sue Noyce, our administrator. So we'll get started on the agenda.
The first hearing, that was a continued hearing from October 2nd, I believe it was. Stephen Capilupo, 40 Old Rowley Road, was in today personally and asked for a continuance until our November meeting, November 16th, I believe it is. I'm sorry, November 15th. So he has signed a continuance form. So I will give that to you to sign now and confirm that.
Okay.
And the Arthur and Sandra Costanas of 105 High Road, who was also a continued hearing, was in later this afternoon and also asked for a continuance until the November 15th meeting in person. So they signed the form as well. Was anybody here for either of those hearings? Yeah. Sorry about that. Came in later this afternoon.
15th, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Move on to the straight. Yeah.
Dorothy Strait. The applicant is requesting a special permit for relief from section 97-10D2C of Newbury zoning bylaws to create an accessory apartment which requires a special permit for the lot property located on 23 Old Pine Island Road, Assessor's Map R32-0-37.
Come on up.
All right. Do I sit? What do I do?
Come and sit down and
Are you with her? Did you want to come up with her? Or?
yeah,
Surely.
just bring a chair up.
Thank you.
You can sit. If you could give Sue your paperwork before we get started. Whenever you're ready, tell us what you like to do and explain the project.
The project is to convert an existing open room into an efficiency apartment. It's above the garage. It's unplumbed now. It's had a Renai heater in the past. It is separate from the house. It used to be joined to the house. It no longer is. And the reason for this is that my house mostly burned down on July 4th. And it's essentially a total loss, and it will take a good long time to rebuild. And I'm now in a rental, but I'd love to be at my house, where I've been for almost 15 years. 14 years, almost 14 years. So, my hope would be to add a small kitchenette and a 3/4 bath, and live in it while the rest of the house is being rehabbed, renovated, rebuilt. This is Ben Mullen, my contractor, and Cindy Shartman from Andrew Sidford's office, who will be helping with the whole project.
Okay.
So you have existing main house plans, the plans from the 1995 edition of this garage space, and a site map and the little drawing that I did, that's the proposed space, yes.
Okay, so,
This is the main house.
right, okay, so this is the only plan you have for what you want to do?
Yes. There's a plan in there on a folded sheet that was the architect's plan for it's right where your right thumb is.
Yeah, it's 1117, so.
Yeah. That is the architect's plan for the addition.
We're effectively taking the existing addition, adding a second means of egress, putting in a kitchenette and a 3-quarter bath, and structurally, we're not really changing anything.
Okay, in addition to the garage is what you're saying?
No,
Yeah.
that is the garage.
This is the garage?
Yeah.
And that was done in 1995.
Yeah, there's an existing, bonus room, if you will, that's above the garage
Right.
presently.
Okay.
And so we're just using that same space, throwing a kitchenette and a 3-quarter bath in it, putting a second means of egress in it to meet code, and giving her a place to stay while we work on the rest of the house.
Okay, so is there plumbing, water, electricity, heat, anything there?
There is electricity, well, not at the moment, but there's a panel.
So there's a sub panel in the garage right now that we could connect to and pull power and have that during the project to kind of run segregated outside of the rest of the project. The existing septic's right behind the garage right now. Right now, there's currently no plumbing in there, but we're planning on redoing the septic as it stands eventually anyway. So we have access to the septic pretty readily, and we also can pull water over to that space pretty readily as well.
And is the Board of Health all right with using this with the septic system?
As of right now, well, I couldn't answer that, but.
Well, we did check, not to interrupt, but we
Yeah.
did check when she came in, and the Board of Health had no septic plan on file for this property. They did have a Title V inspection on September, no, wait a minute, says it's, the Title V inspection said it was a 2-bedroom, but with no plan, they would defer to the assessor's record.
Which is just a 3-bedroom.
Right, there's confusion between that.
Yep. Okay. Eric, you have
Yeah.
any more questions, I'm sure?
So this is the garage here,
Correct.
and this is red and purple, so I don't know what the green is the garage, basically, and this is the part of the house that burned down that you're rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it is truly attached.
Yeah, there's yeah.
And will it be attached when it's done?
No, it'll be the same as it is now, but,
There's a breezeway.
yeah, there's a breezeway with
It was a hallway, but we cut it.
So
Where's the breezeway here?
well,
Is this actually like,
yeah, so this is her,
okay, so this is this right here.
yeah, well, no, this is this.
Right, and so this square room that comes off, which is on this piece of paper like this, is, okay, I got it now.
That's the main house.
It's a little-
The original 1952.
Yeah, and there's a walk, there's a walk with a roof above it right here.
So, you gotta look at the plans, you look at this, you take this plan and you turn it around.
I gotta paste
You
it
take
down.
this plan and you, not the best set of plans, but you do that. Now you-
Sidford did not do these plans.
Yeah,
These were,
I'm an architect, I'm not. Right, so this porch would be in the green here, and this square room would be here, and the drawing, which is this,
Would be
sits over here,
This would be this.
which would be this.
Okay.
Okay. So, one, it's not, quote, attached.
Right.
That was question one. Two, it's a little hard to measure the drawings, and so what has been put on plans is having a primary residence of 3,088 square feet, and a secondary apartment of this being 576. If you multiply 24 by 24, you get 576.
Yeah.
So, there's that. There's the septic system, which you already brought up in terms of understanding what that is and the number of bedrooms. And it looks like you would have a total of where's the third bedroom? See the master bedroom, you would have a guest bedroom. Where would the, is the
I've
third?
been counting this
This is
all
the
along,
third.
yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 bedrooms in the main residence,
Right.
and there would be 1 bedroom in the accessory apartment.
Let me interrupt for a second and ask you a question. Are you looking for this to be a temporary residence only while the house is built, or are you looking for this to be an accessory apartment?
I am looking for it to be not an accessory apartment in the sense that I will rent it out to anyone, but in the sense that I have turned 60 and I expect to turn 85, and I also expect to have a need for someone to live in, but that may be 20 years away.
So, in my mind, we need to know what you're asking for.
Yes,
I think there's a difference,
because temporary, you could put it in and
and then close it down. And the,
I would
the
rather, yeah.
the zoning bylaws would not be as strict.
Mhm.
If you want an accessory apartment, then there's a whole list of guidelines that you have to meet.
I believe I meet them all.
Well,
and maybe you do, but that's for you to prove out. And so
Yeah.
none of this section has been represented in the documentation to prove out exactly that you meet them. On quick review of the drawings that you submitted, yeah, it seems favorable and the right size, and it's not overblown or reach, but we still have to go through and check all the boxes so that
Yeah.
you don't get down the road 10 years from now and expect to have something and then it's not quite there.
Mm.
So that's a.
Yes.
And
Of course.
this, proving out the size of your primary house, and then obviously the size of this is favorable in terms of what the bylaw says. And then septic in terms of just making sure that your system meets the number of bedrooms that you're asking for. And the utilities are, it's clear that the utilities must come from the main house and then serve the secondary
Yes.
apartment. Understanding that you've got a fire, you're under construction, there could be some clauses, temporary clauses that allow you to get around that, but in the end, they should be done.
Yes.
And we've had people build brand new things and come to us and say, now I want to do this, and they didn't read this first, and they're
Yeah.
backwards. So it's, it's all clearly spelled out in terms of a general section of requirements that you need to meet, and then there's attached and detached. You can skip the attached numbers, but go right to the detached and just check.
well, she doesn't need to meet the general.
No, I said that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Meet the general, skip the attached, and then go to number 5, the detached, and understand that. And if you can present that back to us, then that's what is needed.
How would you like that presented back to you? We have gone through that list in our office and are confident that she does in fact meet all these
We have no
points.
documentation of that.
How would you like that
Well,
document presented?
I would just,
If you read the bylaw and answer every one of those,
yes, so if you copy that and then add your answer underneath that, or answer by referring to a plan that clearly shows that, then that's
So I
fine.
need a written document?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, and it's,
it's pretty straightforward.
yep. So one of the things is a site plan that proves it, and you have a site plan, so where is the septic, where are the utilities, you can document that on the plan.
Okay,
You have the bedrooms, be a little easier if this whole item was shown on one plan with the rooms on it, would be a little easier to
Okay.
read. Proof that the primary residence size is what it is. Obviously, this proves out just by its gross dimensions what it is.
Does the field card not satisfy that?
No, I mean, the reason that there's not a septic plan on file and the assessor's card is has information certainly on it that pertains to you, but there's no way to double check that that's exactly 100% accurate. And it's not something that we would,
We have no authority about
the assistant.
the septic system or the Board of Health. It was just a question that I was asking.
Mhm.
So obviously, the Board of Health is gonna have to approve your septic system,
Yes.
you know, before you can go forward.
No, of course, and that
Yeah,
was, that's a
right.
given.
Right,
That's
right.
obviously
So-
something that's in the
so-
larger picture.
Right. So, we're really interested in dimensional things and following the bylaw, you know, associated with the accessory apartment. So, you know, it was just a curiosity question on my part of, you know, where you were with that.
No, my intention is not to rent it out at all. Neither
But
would
somebody-
it be my preference to rip out the kitchen after I put it in.
True, but
Because it's
once you put some, sorry to interrupt, but once you put something in place, it is in place. So if we're gonna allow you to put something in place and there's not an agreement that it is temporary and that it's coming out, then it is permanent for whatever use, and it must meet the intent of the bylaw or wherever its future life. for
It
you,
doesn't
for everybody
mean,
else.
it doesn't mean you have to rent it. If you,
But you certainly could, and it
Could.
would be in keeping with the bylaw, so you have every right to.
right, and you may not have an intention, but somebody down the line would be buying this property either with an accessory apartment or without. So that's why it all has to be documented.
And the conciseness of the documents, because it's got, the documentation that is signed and is part of any motion is copied and attached to your deed, so the cleaner you keep it, the better. And extraneous items, some people, you know, attach it, it goes with your deed and gets recorded. So the cleaner and more concise it is, the better. That's all.
Wayne, you need anything to say?
Just, it says permanent kitchen, we need to, so it says stove, refrigerator, sink, right, for the
Yes.
kitchen.
Yeah,
The bathroom, it doesn't have a sink,
it does, right, yes.
so it just has a toilet, no shower.
Yes, that's where the X is a shower.
Okay.
Okay, all
You
right,
need-
so it's
So
a
you
full
need to be a
bathroom.
little, you need to be a little more detailed, I
Yeah.
guess, with your hand-drawn plan too, as to, you know, what you're gonna have there. And,
I'm sorry, this is in no way a reflection on Sidford.
No.
They have come in late in the game. I'm just trying to survive a pretty
oh, I completely
major
understood.
life event.
Right, and, you know, this isn't something that you've had experience with, so, you know, all the help you get is a good thing.
Does it say somewhere, I read that too, it says somewhere 3/4
Bathroom.
I think, does she
Yeah.
say it in her narrative?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming that means it's a shower, not a tub.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And, so you have like, I guess a kitchenette, or there's no wall here, or?
No,
what are
there's
these?
5 folds.
5 folds, okay, to the kitchen. And then, one of these areas is a bedroom, I assume?
To the studio.
Yeah,
Or it's just an open?
Yes.
Open
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Does anybody here like to speak in favor of this project? Anybody opposed? Oh, go ahead.
We're just here to support Dorothy and just, you
Okay,
know,
just give your name. and-
Jonathan Brown,
Address?
167 High Road. Just saying that, you know, she's been through a lot personally with this, and we hope that
Sure.
the board looks at it favorably.
Me too.
Any other questions?
No, me as well. My name is Liz, or Elizabeth
Yeah.
Zukowski,
And the address?
26 Old Pine Island Road.
I also received an email, today from a Sue and Mark Keeler of 17 Old Pine Island,
Great.
who stated that their family had lived at 17 Old Pine Island, and this letter is to inform you we support our neighbor's application requesting a special permit for a property located at 23 Old Pine Island Road. Our property directly abuts Ms. Straight's property and are fully aware of her plans and have no objection.
Here's another from across the street.
And this is 28 Old Pine Island Road. Would do.
So,
Yeah,
You just need to
Clean it up.
clean it up and have everything speak to, be able to, we're gonna walk, we would read through this, just as you have it there, and be able to answer each one.
and that can't be done verbally at this point with the information we have on hand,
I still think the septic needs to
the
be,
exception of this.
proven out, so we can't go do that tonight, but I think you have the bones of it, I just think it needs to be cleaned up and focused.
Okay.
That's what you asked for. That-
you certainly can come back at our next meeting.
Can we submit in advance and,
Sure.
Sure, yes, it would be helpful if you spent an advance, you get a chance to read it, and then it'd be a lot easier to review it.
okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay, so you need to sign a continuance, which you'll do. And the next meeting will be November 15th, I believe.
So I don't need to do notices of
Nope.
all of them?
With this, your continuance preserves your notifications, okay? Any other information, and you get it all prepared and ready beforehand, you can just get it into me, and I'll make sure the board gets it, and I'll have a chance to review it before the meeting, and that'll make the process go a little bit smoother, for the continued hearing,
Okay.
okay? All righty.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Ready? All right, Liberty Real Estate Strategy, Robert Chimpiti? Chimpetti,
Thank you.
sorry,
It's
I knew that.
not an easy one.
The applicant is requesting a special permit for relief from section 97-4D of the Newbury zoning bylaws, to raise the existing dwelling and construct a new single-family home on the property located at 78 Old Point Road, Assessors Map, U05060.
Thank you, Mr. Spahn, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Noyes, members of the board, good evening. My name is Robert Champetti. I'm an attorney with Liberty Law and Title, located at 11A Liberty Street in Newburyport. I like to say conveniently above Abraham's Bagels, which is probably better known than Liberty Law.
Yeah.
As much as I hate
have
to-
seen your sign every time I've gone
As
in
much
there.
as I hate to admit that. I'm pleased to be before the board this evening. Before we get started, some housekeeping matters from Ms. Noyes. The proof of service as well as publication. Publication was run both on October 10th and October 17th in the Newburyport Daily News. We had a little technical difficulty this evening in printing that, so I've asked Mr. Hughes of Hughes Environmental, who I'll introduce in a moment. He handled the Conservation Commission matter on behalf of this application, which went before Conservation on Tuesday and met with their approval. So I had Mr. Hughes go ahead and email to Ms. Noyes the proof of the publication, because I wasn't able to print it. So that should be in ZBA at townofnewbury.org. We will have it up on the laptop in case any of the members wish to just examine the publication. Also this evening with me is Everett Chandler of Winter GEC. Mr. Chandler in the room, as well as Mr. McGarry, who's a partner and consultant on the project with me. Mr. Chandler had handled the survey work and prepared the plan. I've got a large format here, but everything that is on that large format is in the presentation before you. So what I'd like to do, if it pleases the board, is, and I can sit or stand, which would you prefer?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
I'll just let me make sure everyone has a copy. So my memorandum is really more of a just an outline to sort of guide the board and walk through in chronological order the talking points as they were, organizing kind of a guided tour of this project. As you can see, 78 Old Point Road is the property that we're talking about. Many of you may be familiar with that property. It's the red house in the corner of Newbury. It's been there in that condition for some years. The applicant, Liberty Real Estate Strategy, is respectfully requesting a special permit or finding for relief from section 97(4)D of the Newburyport zoning bylaws, which is of course the PIOD, to raise the existing dwelling and construct a new single-family dwelling on the lot proposed as is before the board. It's map U05060. So a quick walk through the existing structure, as is kind of clear from the photos, and I will ask Mr. Hughes if he wouldn't mind me leaning on him as my lovely assistant to flip the boards for us as we go. But the existing structure was built as a camp in 1953, wood framing on a block foundation, so there's no basement to speak of. It is functioning as 3 bedrooms, and on one of the subsequent pages that you have before you is the stamped architect's interior existing conditions. I believe it's page 3. Page 3 shows the space, and it looks as though the second floor was an addition after the camp was originally built. That second floor has actually had become the master bedroom. And thank you. And if you take a look here to the left on your board, on your printout is the existing conditions, and you'll see in the first floor there's a bedroom in the upper right, of course a bathroom, a hall, office, the stairs, and a kitchen, living room, and 2 more, and another bedroom with a mudroom. Both of those bedrooms well in excess of 70 square feet. The office even is in excess of 70 square feet. Both of these spaces have closets, and in one case 2 closets. And then of course what is a later addition is the second floor, and that's the master with closets. And it seems apparent that that was added later. The lot is 4,291 square feet. The FAR plan that you have as well shows the breakdown of the first and second floor of the existing structure. It's 1,529.27 square feet in total. First floor is 1,106.45. Second floor, the master bedroom is 422.82. This property, as is probably evident, as many of you, or maybe some of you might know, has been unoccupied since 2014 when the current owner moved out, mostly due to water infiltration and, from what I understand, his inability to care for the property. The property has since 2014, oh, if you could just flip that back, has suffered very obvious decay, water infiltration, vermin, and is rendered, I think, arguably unsafe. But certainly just by looking at it and looking at its deflection, if you can even notice that as it sits on the lot, it's just about at the end of its useful life. What the applicant, what Liberty Strategy is seeking to do is to raise that structure and replace it with a new single-family structure as follows. 3 bedrooms with a total square footage of 1449.76, so a reduction in square footage. The first floor would be 750.55, also a significant reduction in that footprint. The second floor would be 699.21. If I failed to mention, of course, as is required under the Wetlands Protection Act, the property is being raised on pilings, and it's the proposal to raise it on pilings to get it out of the floodplain. Of course, that being the spirit of and the macro intent of the PIOD is to create relief from flood damage, water movement, wind wave, and water action. So to place the new structure on pilings, to raise it out of the floodplain, our proposal is to use cementitious materials, hardy, clapboarding, and siding to stand up, of course, in the conditions of Plum Island that we all know all too well. The zoning matrix details, I'm just going to walk you through the matrix of the existing structure and then the proposed structure, and then I'll just, as you see before you walk through the summary of our contemplated benefits of this proposal. The existing structure's frontage, 126.16, the lot size, 4,291, front yard, 5.4, the right yard, 28.8, the left side, 9.5, and the rear side is 0.1. So it's literally almost at the lot line. If one were to open a door or a crank out window, you would be trespassing technically. The stories are 2, and it's proposed to be 2, and of course the height of that existing structure is 22 feet. Tom, if you could flip to the comparative, it's the next, I think it's the second to last slide. The second to last slide shows the comparison in height. So you can see sort of a profile sketch of the existing structure and the proposed structure. Of course, it is still only 2 stories, but higher, as is obvious, because it's being raised out of the floodplain. The proposed structure, the frontage of the lot is still the same, 126.16. The lot size stays the same, of course. The front yard would be at 20.4, where 20 is required. An improvement and the pulling of this existing structure out of the front yard setback. The side to the right, 11.5, where 10 is required. The left, 20.5, where 10 is required. And again, the left side is at the existing conditions is 9.5, so clearly in the side yard setback as well. The rear, 10.4, where 10 is required. And to just remind you of the existing conditions, the rear was 0.1. So pulling it from that almost 0 lot line condition to compliance with the dimensional controls of the PIOD is the goal, of course, and shrinking the footprint and coverage. The height is 33.5, where 35 is required. And since we're proposing to demolish or raise the existing structure, it is any intensification of existing height requires, of course, this board's relief. The stories would remain 2. So the FAR of the existing conditions is 0.357. The lot coverage, 31.2%. And there's a few buildings, but the principal structures you can see on your site plan done by Mr. Chandler, you can see the shaded footprint, which is significantly larger than the proposed footprint because it's been reduced. So the FAR of the proposed structure is 0.347, or where 0.25 is the maximum. The lot coverage comes down to 17.2. So a significant reduction in the impervious coverage of the lot. A de-intensification we submit of the use of the site, a realignment of the structure on the site so that it falls within the building envelope, creating relief off of the closest neighbor on Devoli. The summary of benefits, to just walk the board quickly through that, to remove an abandoned and derelict structure, which we submit threatens to remain a visual blight to the surrounding properties as well as potential health and safety hazard to the neighborhood. Obviously, there's no fence preventing sort of the wandering, the attractive nuisance component. This is an abandoned structure in significant decay and certainly not a particularly safe place. To elevate the proposed structure, to bring the structure above the existing floodplain will serve the purpose of the PIOD section 94.4D1 of the Newburyport bylaws as follows. It will reduce damage to public and private property resulting from floodwaters, to draw the language directly out of that section of the PIOD. Also to reduce the footprint of the structure, which in turn will increase the open space, as it will serve the purpose of the PIOD section 97.4D1, which reads to preserve open space. Also a goal of Liberty in sort of refining and cultivating this plan was to try to pay respect and tribute to the actual criteria and language of the PIOD. To replace the existing structure with a smaller structure of the same use, we submit presents no adverse impact upon the current use of the lot, which is a single-family use. It would remain a single-family use. And it would also serve the purpose of the PIOD 97.4D as follows. To preserve the current single-family use, to limit the expansion of non-conforming single or two-family structures, because of course this will remain a single family, just as it is now, and to prevent the exacerbation of existing problems with density, intensity of use. The density is actually decreased. The intensity of use remains static because it was a single, and it is proposed to remain a single. Now, finally, to reduce and cure the existing dimensional nonconformities, we propose will provide relief to those setbacks by pulling the new structure into compliance with the PIOD's dimensional controls. The dimensional controls exist for a reason. They create buffer and separation between structures. This structure clearly predates zoning, so it was built as many camps on Plum Island were built, and really just more of a function of the convenience of the builder at the time and the owner at the time. This will bring the structure and its footprint into conformity with the dimensional controls. And finally, to exceed the current height of the existing structure, we propose to the board is necessary. Doing so, again, will elevate the proposed structure out of the floodplain. And as I noted, Mr. Hughes was before the Conservation Commission on Tuesday and received approval of this proposal on, I believe that was October 16th. The height of the proposed structure will be 33.6. While the proposed height of 33.6 is higher than the existing structure, the proposed structure will still be within the PIOD's height limit of 35. And in closing, members of the board, Mr. Chairman, based upon the above detail, the applicant submits to the board that the proposed replacement single-family home is not substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure or use to the neighborhood and or the PIOD. In fact, we submit that this proposal is an improvement, certainly not a detrimental impact. For the foregoing reasons, we respectfully request that the Newbury Zoning Board of Appeals make the necessary findings so as to approve the application. With that, I thank you, and of course, and then after the rounds, and if you have any questions, we have everyone here.
As an abutter, can I just ask, did the
We're gonna
footprint move at all?
Just, let
Oh,
you
okay,
speak in a
sorry.
couple of minutes.
Yes,
Just
thank you, sorry.
be patient.
No, everything sounds good.
Let's see, so. Just had a question on the application in terms of what is presented on the page 2A and what you have listed for the lot coverage checklist. Rob?
Yes, let me just pull my copy of the application.
So it's 2A has all the
The
matrix on it.
yes.
And so the FA, lot coverage is at 21.2%, and just on the checklist on the next page, which says lot coverage, you put the number for the existing square footage on the lines above to calculate out the existing. So usually this page you fill out and you show what the existing square footage is, and then you use the proposed square footage, put the proposed square footage in the lines above and calculate out first the lot size to show what the new lot coverage is.
Let me just make sure I'm following, and I apologize if, lawyers are bad at math,
So this is the existing.
Yes.
That number is up here.
Correct.
That number counts out to
Okay.
that number, which is certainly what you've stated here.
Okay.
Usually, well, typically, this is the worksheet where that number then goes up here and gets calculated out to prove out what the new is.
So rather than showing you existing,
Well, yeah, we do it both ways, but I guess you're just trying to do the math, and what I'm looking at is with 750, as you said, which checks out with the floor plan, for the lot coverage, the deck isn't included in your calculation.
that's correct. Did you want me to address that missing calculation
Well,
on that sheet?
If, for lot coverage, the deck
Is included.
is included in the coverage.
Is the, let me ask, is,
Does this plan match what was presented to the Conservation Commission on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the lot coverage that they approved, was 750?
I
'Cause that wouldn't include the deck, and they would include the deck.
I would have to look at the notice of intent.
Everything else, in terms of the drawings, here's the checkout, it's drawn.
I bet you was right on the phone. Yeah. 276,
And this, the elevation height checks out to scale.
1,014.
While you're looking at that, we're jumping back on our plans as well. Thank you.
And the plans below, quite good scale, double check that's why I couldn't figure out the deck. There's listed here, and this appears to match this. And so this, it's not a deck.
While they're doing that, would you like to speak?
Thank you. I guess my only concern was,
Do we have the name first?
Richard Fleming, 4 Devoli Way, a butter.
Yep.
This all looks very beautiful, and glad it's not too huge. I just wanted to see where the new structure will line up as far as the existing structure is on the site. And you might have covered that in the release, but is there a drawing?
Right there.
Right
Go right
here.
up and take a look.
I'm concerned about view sheds.
So, your property is higher in elevation.
This was us in the survey, I can see.
Yeah, so it actually moves away, your principal deck is gonna be less obstructed and will pull off of there as well.
So that's the deck we're concerned with right now, and that's the existing.
That's the existing, that's right.
And this would be in the stairs.
That's right.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
That's this deck right here. That's this little deck right there. It's on upstairs. And then we decide what we're gonna do prior to that.
No, it's not.
So, by pulling it off of your rear yard, oh, I'm sorry, I should be
Yeah, so
speaking up.
that's
So, by pulling it off of your rear yard, we were hoping to alleviate that encroachment, and also pulling it off of the Devoli side opens up more of your view corridor from where your decks are, because that's kind of a view corridor that is the opening between the other two homes that are on the other side.
Which they can't build in there.
What's that?
I don't think they can build in there, can they?
That's right, so I think you're.
So I got lot coverage of .236,
Okay.
so 23.6, yeah.
Okay.
If the decks are.
So it's still a reduction.
My apologies.
And actually, in my conservation notice of intent, I referenced the number that was on the plan, but I also did the separate math in my narrative and noted that it was just under 24%.
Okay. So what do you have as the deck lot coverage on your calculation?
Yeah.
With the deck, it's 23.6%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the square footage of the deck?
The square footage of the deck and the stairs is 276 square feet.
And that's legended in Mr. Chandler's plan as well, I believe.
I'm going to ask you to repeat the percentage of it again.
23.6.
Yeah. Okay. That's significantly different.
Yeah.
Your brother's an excellent guy.
Is that up to you?
Sure. Okay.
So, any other questions for him?
the application. Check it here, so what,
So the square footage of the deck needs to be added in,
here,
The deck and stairs were 276.
Right.
No, they were separately. You have those figures separately, the deck, square footage and the stairs, just so we can update the application.
Yep.
They're legended in the bottom right of the, but actually, Everett, if you want to maybe read them out, it'll
Yeah.
speed things along.
Sure, so the existing structure on the lot is 1,338 square feet. The existing stairs on the lot are 29 square feet. The proposed building on the lot is 738 square feet. The proposed stairs, landing deck is 276 square feet. Good, just for the record, since we're doing that, the existing lot coverage is actually 31.8, because it didn't include the 29 square feet for the stairs. Correct.
and is the FAR then,
There's no change to that, it's just the exterior stairs. And then just a couple of steps.
Okay. Let's close the meeting to the public for a second. I think they certainly corrected the setbacks, placed it in a better spot. They have reduced the lot coverage and the FAR some.
yep,
Uh,
and they're within the height.
The height is okay, and it certainly a lot less detrimental to the existing conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll open up the meeting and entertain a motion. I've only asked the Red Sox for a while.
So I'll make a motion to request a special permit for relief from section 97-4D to raise the existing dwelling, to construct a new, brand-new single-family home, as the new family home meets the intent of the PIOD in reduction of what? She takes cryptic
Okay.
notes and then she gets it all anyway. Well, probably watching the video. Reduces the FAR. It makes the front, rear, and side yard setbacks in compliance. And it reduces the percentage of lot coverage. And all those together in the position of the house on the lot are deemed to be not more detrimental than the existing neighborhood.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Spahn, Ms. Baker.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, this noise. Mr. Moore. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. We'll catch the rest of the game.
Did you, I
Oh, on the
did not
check.
sign the check.
Yeah, let me write this check. I came with the optimism by bringing my check.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully
I went
I'm
back and I didn't find it, I didn't deposit any, so.
Richard? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Want this one, or?
Like to have a nice presentation. You can bring your backup with you.
Yeah. I don't travel, it's like, I don't travel without them. I don't propose to know their expertise, and certainly it came in critical tonight, just to help clarify things. Table with Tom and you.
I think there was a fourth thing.
We
You
do
didn't
need.
go anywhere, good? Busy?
Oh, we need to take the application, just
You can take that one if you want, but.
sign it. I screwed mine on.
I told her that.
Yeah.
Busy, right?
Oh, it's great, yeah. My older daughter broke her leg a couple weeks ago, so I put herself on soccer for the lacrosse football.
Clean up that lot.
Hopefully she'll be all healed up and
Yeah.
getting ready to start that soon. I got 2 inches of that last night.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, wow.
Blowing snow like a sun out with this cold weather, so. They'll be open before you know it.
Lot
It's
coverage.
chilly. Tonight it was chilly.
We're gonna add the
It's
276.
like-
You want to add the 276 in there, so
Yep.
with that.
Thank you, and my apologies that you have to do all this surgery on it. It's minor.
Sounds good.
Just gonna take a picture and then, maybe I can just hold it up to the camera. I'll come back.
Watch it tonight, no, not tonight, maybe next week.
I've got-
You know,
In my spare time.
spare time.
Conservation.
Your boredom.
With such math.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of your help.
Was that one house got caught on fire from the,
Were you just saying that?
No, I'm saying it, even though I know you can hear me. I know she can hear me, but it was a pleasure getting to see you.
Terrible
You know your stuff.
Yeah, no. I get started.
Nice to meet you.
From what I hear. People were
Let's see, yeah.
moving trucks.
You have the originals, you good to go?
Cyclone so fast. They keep just
So do
back
you
in the
want
loop,
me to obviously contact you when the decision is
Yeah.
ready?
You can just contact me and I'll come.
Alright,
So it's just
will
the
do.
top.
You're welcome, alrighty.
Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
Have a good night. Eric, good to see
You
you.
need, you need to just initial.
Morris, thank you, sir.
Can you, Brooke,
Yes.
just initial the changes,
Oh, yeah.
just anywhere on that page.
That's your official. And we're just gonna do this the next day.
This is the first thing I
Two
gotta
got,
catch part
two
of
got
the meeting.
continued, so.
Everybody's saying that. Go home, watch the game, go home, watch the game.
I had 8 things. She's gonna report that came. It's like Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
Thanks again for that.
Why they pay you the big bucks, Tom.
All right. Ladies, so.
Alright.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanna go down.
There's 2 pages there, okay?
I think it's just that, I don't think the FAR changed, it's just lot coverage, so, just one page.
Good. Motion to adjourn the meeting,
Motion to adjourn.
second,
I'll second.
all in favor, all right?